Good afternoon. So it has come to my attention that people are gluing themselves to things for various reasons, normally environmental reasons. I didn't get into it with a friend of mine on Facebook, thank Christ, but he seems to think it's not the worst idea in the world to glue yourself to something, which may be in a simple sort of follow. I have a little bit of trouble with that. It just smacks of ludicrousy to me. Others may disagree. And it caused me to think about what are you appealing to and what do you want? Certainly attention. Do you want attention for yourself or do you want attention for your cause? Probably both. And then, what kind of attention do you want? Do you just want attention to people to be aware of you? Do you want people to think you're clever? Incidentally, if you want people to think you're clever, gluing yourself to something probably isn't the first step. Or any step. And that is where my train of thought went. So I've just had a somewhat aquatic planning session for this, which means a long shower. Narrating this video with words I'll probably never put into it. And it excuse me for being slightly out of breath for being doing sit-ups. But yeah, so I had a little think about this. I do like to think that I'm reasonably efficient when it comes to environmental things. I don't leave anything on standby. I don't even have much in the house. I've got the computer. But the cooker, I switch the cooker off the wall every time. Just because I don't, bit of a force of habit. I think the only thing that's on all the time is the fridge. So I'm not really a big electricity user. I never put my heating on, being a single man. I think my heating's been on over 4 hours since last winter. I am actually planning to get a wood burning stove in here just so I don't have to put the heating on. I think I prefer it as well. I do like the fire. But anyway, so the point of that is that I am reasonably efficient in environmental stuff and I try not to burn oil. I do have a car, obviously, because I need to go places, not least of which work. I can't afford an electric car, otherwise I'd have one. Also, if I did have an electric car, I'm in an upstairs flat, so I've got nowhere to plug it in unless I'm going to trail a cable out the window and hope some charver passing by doesn't decide to unplug it for a laugh, which, let's face it, that's going to happen. But yeah, so, this is the thing. I'm probably quite normal in this, probably a little bit far further on than most people, because I know most people just don't give a shit because it don't affect them. Or you might say it will affect them. Certainly something will affect us or our children or our children's children, but people tend not to think that far ahead, I find. Certainly not the masses. I think Jordan Peterson had something in his book about this, about we only ever really started worrying about oil and fuel and that when the combustion engine basically industrialized agriculture, so we weren't worried about starving. So once we got starving off our minds, we immediately started worrying about running out of oil and other things, coal for instance. I mean, I think if you stamp too hard in England, it'll go down 2 foot, the amount of coal mines we've had. Which are mostly shut, thanks Arthur Scargill. But yeah, and obviously the impact of burning all these things to make electricity. And then obviously some far-thinking people say, just stop using oil. Great. I mean, then what? What is the alternative? You can't. This is a Thomas Sowell one, but a lot of people say you need to do this, and they don't tell you how, and you don't tell you what to replace it with, and they sort of basically they're outsourcing their problem onto you, or our problem onto one person, you could say, which isn't very helpful because most people are perfectly happy. The people they're talking to are normally perfectly happy where they are, and they're saying, well, I don't particularly care about this. And I mean, I think we were meant to have run out of oil by now, but we haven't. And in fact, I think the year they said we were going to run out of oil, oil production went up. But at the end of the day, it doesn't take the brains of an archbishop to figure out that there's a finite amount of oil on the planet. So yeah, so some far-thinking people, excuse me, I don't know what's the matter with us today. I had a drink last night. But some far-thinking people decided that we need to stop using oil now and to glue themselves to a picture. And this is after gluing themselves to trains, gluing themselves to motorways, and various other things. They decided to put a load of glue in their hand, slap the wall, and say, right then. And I don't know if they're still there. I think it was next to Van Gogh's painting. And that sunflower one, which I believe is a source of oil. Whatever. Because I just took one look at it and I'm like, oh God's sakes, and I moved on. So the problem is, I don't think it's going to do anything but make them look like idiots. I personally think they're idiots. I personally think anybody who goes on like that is an attention-seeking idiot. Don't make them wrong, but they're still an attention-seeking idiot. Like Greta Thunberg. How dare you? I mean, who the fuck are you, honey? How dare you play a tune from school? Over here, you get fined for that. So no, I'm not the greatest Greta Thunberg fan, but it don't make her wrong. I mean, that solar power boat must have cost a fair penny. But hey ho. But yes, anyway. The thing is, I think a lot of people, when you're doing something like this, when you're raising awareness, and we'll have our awareness now, then you have to have your appeal. And what are you appealing to? Are you appealing to somebody's intellect? You get the likes of who I've mentioned, Thomas Sowell, Jordan Peterson, what's his name? Duncan Murray, or Douglas Murray, that fella. They always seem to pull out the facts. This is just off my reading list, by the way. I do apologise if all these gentlemen seem a little right-leaning. It's not intentional. There are Brett Weinstein, Eric Weinstein. They're lefties, and they like facts. They're clever people. They'll throw a load of facts at you. What's his name again? Ruben. I don't know. I don't care. Anyway, so they do the intellectual approach. They'll give you a few statistics. They'll science it up a bit. Great. Nod your head, move on. That's what a lot of people do. Then you've got the appeal to your compassion. Like, you'll show some poor seagull clogged up with oil, or there'll be pictures all hour of like horrible things happening because we've run out of oil, and that's fair enough. So we've got the compassion appeal. That makes a lot of people angry. I mean, like, you've only got to look at an Oxfam advert to really know what I'm talking about there. Or if you just £2 a month, and and then of course then the excuses start coming out. Oh well, I'm sure the bloke who runs it, he's on 200 or 300 a week, rah rah rah, and you're like, well yeah, he's got to eat, honey. But again, this doesn't make him wrong, but if you're appealing to an emotion, then generally if you don't get that emotion, you'll get another one that's generally anger. The this thing I don't think people actually appeal to, though, and this is a bit of a funny one. I was just thinking about this there, is people's apathy. Because most of us just don't give a shit because it doesn't affect us. And if you made it affect us, something might happen. Because I remember, and this is to do with oil as well, any Yanks watching this might, I don't know what's happening over there, but over here, quite a few years ago now, the government decided that you couldn't have free plastic bags at the supermarket, or indeed any market. So every plastic bag had to cost you 5p. I think it's still 5p. I wouldn't know, I never buy them. Now, the absolute uproar this caused was, well, it had to be seen to be believed. People were going crackers over these paying 5p for a plastic bag. And of course, if you're going to go to a big shop, you know, you've got about 4 bags. So there's 20p you'll never see again. Oh, good Lord. So everybody who was basically doing their shopping, getting a plastic bag and throwing the plastic bag straight in the bin so it could sit in a landfill for 200 years. All of a sudden, a lot of people were keeping plastic bags. Everybody was. Uproar. Now, I found this hilarious because it didn't affect me, because I'd resolved not to use plastic bags many moons before this. And I had me little, as they called it at work, me Roy Crocker bag, because it's quite a colourful bag, we'll say. I don't have one to hand to show you. I should have thought of that before. But yeah, so I sat back and laughed. There was even a poor woman at work. Her husband went to the supermarket to get the ingredients for that evening's dinner, and she was looking forward to our steak and our mushrooms and chips and all that, and she was quite eager for this steak, and her husband went all around Asda, realised he'd forgotten the bags, and in a fit of spite, rather than just buy some bags to put all this shopping in, he went back round Asda, put all the shopping back and came home empty-handed, and presumably spent the night on the settee. And it's over 20p, 5p, over 5p, you know what I mean? So yeah, I mean, once the state of apathy has been touched upon and it actually affects you, you can see what happens. So there isn't really somewhere I want to go with this. There was a study, I didn't read the study because I'm studying protests, not for me, thanks. I might read it later, but the crux of the matter is, I mean, I wouldn't know how you would do that other than like some big thing. Suddenly banning oil. I mean, they do the tax, congestion tax and stuff on big cities and what have you. That annoys the living shit out of people. But after that, I mean, you would have to make the alternative easier. You would have to appeal to somebody's apathy, appeal to somebody's laziness, rather than to appeal to somebody's altruism. Because let's face it, you know which one's going to hit home first. And that, unfortunately, doesn't involve gluing yourself to a wall in a museum and demanding somebody do something what we know not. Because, alright, stop using oil. Okay, should I leave the car in the car park, walk home, rig some sort of sail up to get to work in the morning time? I mean, it's a bit open-ended. I don't know what to say. I really don't. If I could click my fingers and just say, right, everybody's got an electric car, maybe I would. And then the people are like, oh, but you know, these poor miners and stuff like that. Well, you know, 2 birds with one stone, pay them a bit more. You know, make a school for the bands. Fucking people there, Jesus Christ. I don't think this is going to sit the right today. I waffle like fuck. I might put it on just for a laugh though. Right, anyway, I'm going to get on with my Sunday. I'm going to make another one of these because I had a couple of things on my mind. And then I'm going to hang my towels up and go and play computer games all afternoon. And voila.